that's where that number. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, we are almost there. Okay. So, why does it do that?
I'm sorry.
Okay, we are all set. I have 6 o'clock.
I don't know which one.
So Jennifer, you have, looks like Matt
Right,
Sims
I
is
don't know.
online. Looks like we also have John Bush online. And we have Jake, Krista, and Eric in attendance here personally.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I can hear you, Matt.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Just to let you know, before we officially get started, you'll probably hear a buzzer go off in about 3 minutes. My mother's baking.
Okay.
And I'm dialing in remote from Milwaukee. There may be some strange background noises. I'm going to try to stay muted as long as I can.
Okay. So first, you want to call our annual meeting to order, Jennifer?
All right, I will do that. The 2023 annual meeting of the Board of Commissioners for the South Whidbey Parks and Recreation District is called to order at 6:01 p.m. We will begin with the election of the officers for the 2023 board.
So this is our every year occurrence. We every year re-elect officers to the board. All the people are the same this year. Nobody's changed. No new. We didn't have an election in November, so we don't have anybody new joining us this year. So it's the same little faces, but you could put them in new positions if you guys choose. The board officers were as follows for 2022. That was Jennifer Cox was the chair, Eric Chikainen was vice chair, Crystal Orcher was secretary, Matt Sims was treasurer, and Jake Greve was at large. So you keep them the same, you can do whatever you want. This is your opportunity to discuss and then nominate and vote. So this is all on the board.
Would you like an opportunity at another position, Jake, since you're at large?
I am content at large, but if someone wants to change.
I'm willing to share the wealth, that's why I'm saying that. No, in all honesty, you know, if you want to, it makes no difference to me. I'm content in the position, but if Jake would like this position, I would say you could definitely do a good job. So, up to you. Want to throw it out there?
I'm content.
There you go.
I'm good as well.
Jennifer, Matt,
Yeah, and I'm,
consent with your
yeah, and I'm fine. And I'm fine with the current assignment. I'm also fine if someone is interested in becoming the treasurer. I'm also good with that.
And I'm good with where I am.
There we go.
All right, so hearing all of that, you could just nominate and vote for everybody in the same positions they were. Do you want me to bring that back up? So we have it in front of us.
So we need to make a motion for
We
each
need a
position,
motion,
right?
we need a second,
So,
we need any other people.
I will make a motion for each individual one.
You should do each position. Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with our president. I'll make a motion for Jennifer to remain the president of our board.
Chair.
Chair, I'm sorry, chair.
I will second that motion then.
All right, it has been moved and seconded to have Jennifer Cox remain as the chair. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, aye.
Jake, aye.
Matt, aye.
Jennifer, I. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion passes. We'll move on to the vice chair.
I'll make a motion for Eric to remain as vice chair for 2023.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to have Eric Jokinen remain as vice chair for the 2023 board. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, I.
Jake, aye.
Matt, aye.
Jennifer, I. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion passes. We'll move on to the secretary.
I will make a motion that Krista remain as secretary.
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded that Krista Lorscher remain as secretary for the 2023 board. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, I.
Jake, aye.
Matt, aye.
Jennifer, I. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it and the motion passes. We'll move on to treasurer.
I'll make a motion for Matt to remain treasurer for 2023.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded to have Matt Sims remain as treasurer for the 2023 board. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, I.
Jake, aye.
Matt, aye.
Jennifer, I. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes or the ayes have it and the motion passes. We will move on to the at-large position.
Do not need to nominate for at-large.
Okay.
You could use just.
Very well.
I
just
would
is.
have nominated you though, Jake. I want you to know.
All right, having no further business for the annual meeting.
Do it, I don't care, it's fine. Okay, so.
Shall we,
Go ahead.
are we ready to adjourn the annual meeting?
We are ready to adjourn the annual meeting, that business has been completed.
All right, we adjourn the 2023 annual meeting at 6:07 p.m. The January 2023 meeting of the Board of Commissioners for the South Whidbey Parks and Rec District is called to order at 6:07 p.m. Is there anyone for public comment?
We do have Mr. Bush online here, and we have a gentleman here as well. I'm not sure if he's here for public comments as well. Yeah, why don't we have Mr. Bush go first?
Mr. Bush, are you going to have anything for public comment?
Yes, I was just waiting to be recognized by the chair. My engagement in attending these board meetings, virtual space, and speaking with many of you individually has given me a growing but not complete appreciation for how hard all of you work so that others can play and enjoy the programs and facilities that you provide by your efforts and diligence. So my public comment is summed up in 2 words for all of you, including the leadership, the management, the administration, and staff. And those 2 words are thank you. That concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Your comments are appreciated by the board and staff. Is there anyone else for public comment?
We do have a gentleman here. Sir, state your name first.
Sure. My name's Tori Olson. Nice to meet you guys. The main reason I'm here is tennis people, and tennis people are trying to sort of be more organized and showing up to the meetings and sort of keeping that on the front burner of needs for our island here. And so Nicholas couldn't make it today, so I said I would come. So I'm here, and I'm advocating for a tennis center. If we could get something like that, would be wonderful.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Doug, I had a very difficult time understanding the gentleman. Could you summarize for me what he said, please?
Absolutely. He's just here as an advocate for the tennis center. Since Nicholas couldn't be here tonight, he is in his stead advocating for tennis.
Very good. Thank you. Is there anyone further for public comment?
Not unless one of the commissioners wants to come in under public comment, or one of the staff, but the staff has been told not to, so they're fine.
All right, we will move on to approval of the minutes. Has every commissioner had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Are there any questions or changes?
No.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
I will motion to approve the minutes from the last regular board meeting.
I will second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the regular meeting minutes from the last board meeting, which would have been December 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, aye.
Jake, aye.
And I.
Jennifer, aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Matt, will you be leading us through that, or will Doug?
Yep. Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Okay. And you guys see it on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Can you, let me just, hang on. Let me make it full screen. Okay. Okay. So again, for the format, whoops. There we go. For the format, again, the overall and all the individual slides up is favorable. And you can see, and this is the full year for January, we do the full year look for 2022. You can see our favorability, which had been growing through the year. We shrunk a little bit in the month of December down to 88K. And that puts us in a decent position to make the required fund transfers that we need to make this month in order to set the reserve balance where it needs to be for 2023. Next slide. So this is the revenue picture. You saw we had gone unfavorable. The black line again is cumulative. So we'd gone unfavorable in this entering the last quarter of the year, and we gained some ground back there. The unfavorability was the result of our forecast for campground revenue. As you see there, the orange bars where we didn't actually open the campground yet, so no revenue being delivered. That's what put us negative versus forecast. You'll see on the next slide in the expense, we also didn't incur campground expense during that period, so that revenue shortfall was offset on the expense side. So you can go to the next slide. Again, you can see that favorability in the orange bars as our campground expenses that we had forecast were also not realized as the campground wasn't open yet. You can see we recovered the under execution of those couple of budget categories to some degree. We weren't able to get all the way back there, but again, that prepares us for fund transfers with the cash balance that we had at the end of December. See that in the next slide. So this, the January plan is to transfer to the reserve fund from M&O in order to get the reserve fund to the objective. We're very close on that being a net zero transfer, and so we're going to end up with the reserve either at the balance or very close. And if we are not at the balance, we'll make that whole in the first quarter. So again, we're set up with the cash balance we ended with to make the necessary transfer to reserve, and that's what should happen. I don't know, Carrie, if you know the date, the exact date that we're going to do the transfer, or if you've already done it.
It'll be around the 25th.
Say again?
Around the 25th
25th. Okay. Okay. So by the time we're in next month, we should see that. And if there's still reserve or still cash we need to transfer, we'll take care of that in February. But our goal will be to make the transfer in January effective at the correct amount to make the reserve fund whole for 2023. Any questions on any of the slides? If not, we'll move on to the vouchers.
Changes from when you saw it on Friday. So we did have a payroll. That will be in, your second payroll here will be in there. There's our payroll. That was one of the items that was not on there on Friday. That was in this week. So that's in for the 15th of this month. Sorry, the end of this month. And then we have some youth basketball jerseys. Thank goodness we're printing youth basketball jerseys. That means we're doing youth basketball. And some retirements, some deferred compensation, payroll taxes, and then we paid Pacific Law Group to review the contract for the architectural services with ARC. Those are the changes to the vouchers since you saw.
Is what's on the screen different than what we just got emailed to us earlier? My payroll numbers are different.
It shouldn't be. I took it off the email that Carrie sent out to me, so.
Okay.
Are they different?
I'm showing on payroll of $14,969.82.
14,903.99. So there's a payroll at the top too, 14,969.82 at the top.
Okay.
There's another one midway through for the second 2-week period, second half of the month, which is 14,903.99. Is that correct?
Well, mine shows 14,969.82 at that second point as well.
Yeah. Let me check.
The one that you have.
One moment, please. One moment, please. Where do you want me to grab this? Teams?
Right. She's showing that this is the same as here.
So it sounds like she probably has the earlier version.
Correct.
I might have sent the earlier.
But she just said it was the one that was just sent.
Right, I might have sent the wrong one.
Oh, and you printed the most recent?
Yeah.
Okay, let me check my email.
Which file is in?
Hold on.
It's
Updated voucher. Hold on.
business.
Okay.
So the top 1469, 1460. No, the one that. So I'm looking at my email, and what I see that is attached matches what is printed out in front of us, which is what's on the screen, right?
Okay. Yeah, I just clicked over to my email as well. So maybe when I was swapping out, I didn't.
Okay.
Clearly, I didn't do something correctly. So, okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well,
Thank you for helping me.
Better for us to find it now and make sure we're right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to those vouchers. Any other questions on the vouchers?
Just a question about, and maybe you've always done this, it says copy or lease. I mean, copies, I know copies are important, but it's just interesting that copiers have become so inexpensive compared to what they were years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Have we thought about purchasing as opposed to leasing? I'm just multiplying that and thinking $160. Are we paying 160.32, right?
Yeah, so, well, you know, it varies by month depending on what we've been printing. So this is our actual printing, like so the toner and the cost of the copies and everything like that. mean,
You mean you get
it's
charged
nice to
based on
have
how
this
much you
service.
use it?
Yeah.
Really?
We get charged a meter rate, so if we use less, when we print less paper, we use,
Okay.
we charge less.
But you do it physically here.
Yes, we have a
Right.
printer, there's one printer, there's like a big copy machine.
Yeah, that's why I'm
printer,
asking.
Network printer. Could we buy one? Yes, but we usually do these agreements to lease because number one, then maintenance is taken care of.
Right.
Number two, in 3 years or 4 years when the lease runs out, we get a whole new machine. And when we buy a machine, we're stuck with that machine and we're stuck with that machine's problems. Generally, after a couple of years, we're having problems with whatever lease machine we have. We're having to fix it. So the lease is nice because it's not, like you said, it's not that expensive when you look at it, and we don't take on the problem of owning that machine. Plus the fact that a lot of these, like you said, like I have a printer in the house that barely uses it.
Right.
So
I was thinking as we go paperless, that's what made me just kind of think, are we really, is that money where we should be spending it in today's age where we're trying to go paperless, realizing that we still use copies. And then I thought, you know, just once again, the price of copiers will come down. I know we've made that decision in the district to purchase, and we've gone both ways, lease and purchase for multiple reasons.
yeah, I think
But
right now,
anyway.
we're good with leasing. We can look at it again when that lease comes up and kind of take the question mark as to what's it gonna cost us to buy one of these things versus lease it.
Sure. Not a big deal for me. I just know that sometimes we go on and we continue to do things, but we don't stop and think, well, you know, are we getting thanks for our
It's a
buck
damn good
that
point.
way?
We will look at it again when that lease comes due. Any other questions on the vouchers?
Yeah, which fence? What happened to the fence and which one? Fence repair?
Fence
Right.
Fence repair, which fence, what one, what happened?
That was 2 posts on the wood fence, one hanging around the corner up by the high school, got backed into, and another one that had rotted off. It probably got back to the fields.
Okay.
That fence is extremely old. If you look on there, we've got replacement of that fence at some point. That fence is probably going 15, 16 years old. It's wood. So it's, every year there's a couple of us for.
Is the original fence something we always subbed out for, or did we do it ourselves?
No, that's what
It's
it's
McBride. So McBride's always done it.
Any other questions on the vouchers?
If there are no additional questions, I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $74,364.36 from the M&O fund and $1,305 from the property fund.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers in the amount of $74,364.34 from the M&O fund and $1,305 from the property fund. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, aye.
Jake, aye.
That aye.
Jennifer, aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes and the vouchers are approved. Doug, we'll move on to the staff report, please.
Hey, staff report for January. Current upcoming activities and classes. We have indoor pickleball 6 days a week, 14 total sessions. We've got drop-in volleyball going on Thursdays and Sundays. We've got futsal on Saturdays. Puppy Foundation has 7 registered. Junior Cheer has 28 registered. Youth basketball, where we were as of last week. And we've probably had some more registrations since then. A few more. Co-ed grades 1 and 2, 35 people registered. Girls grades 3 and 4, 14 registered. Boys grades 3 and 4, 25 registered. And we got K-Nandos, we're starting on the 22nd. This year we had perfect weather for the 158 registered attendees at the Polar Bear Dive. Previous year was 133 crazy people. Basketball, we're still seeking 3 more first and second grade coaches, or have we got more?
We finally got all.
You got all the coaches, so we're good on coaches. We had Whidbey Telecom accept a proposal for a $10,000 sponsorship package in 2023. Package includes what you see there on the screen: exclusive title sponsor, Whidbey Island Triathlon, exclusive title sponsor of the concerts in the park, exclusive sponsorship of the Youth Basketball League, sponsorship of adult softball league championship tournament, banners of pickleball, softball locations, pickleball clinics and tournaments, first right of refusal, and the opportunity for naming rights if when the new pickleball courts are constructed. So thank you very much to Whidbey Telecom. They've always been supportive, but we just kind of decided instead of going to them every time we have something going on, we just approach them at the end of the year for the beginning of the next year and go, hey, we put together a package. What do you want to do? And we'll put together and we negotiate a price. And I say Sky did an incredible job and got them on board, and we now have a $10,000 sponsorship package from Whidbey Telecom for the year.
That's awesome. It's great.
Here you can see a picture of some people who are a little bit crazy.
Do you do that?
Because that water is cold.
Not there,
Okay.
but I did.
Facilities and grounds, we're in winter mode, working around the weather as best we can, completing storm cleanup in certain areas still. A lot of tree pruning and flower bed planter area cleanup. We had a couple of dry days that allowed us to finally spread the infield material that we received a month ago and get the baseball fields and softball fields drug and edged. Basically playable once they dry out, or once we get all dried out. This week, which would be last week, the extreme wet weather, they're focusing on equipment and maintenance and oil changes looming. Hopefully, as things dry out, they'll be able to continue the new trail extension to the Maxwell Park property. Added more gravel through the wet area just off the road and have a good base to now continue work across the road. Most of my items are in the regular agenda, as is per usual. We did complete the contract for the design of the aquatic center with ARC. They will be finalizing contracts with the subcontractors and putting together a calendar. I've got that calendar. I'm going to sit down with them in the next week or so and try and finalize the calendar with them and put in our kind of fundraising, other events like that within that calendar scope, so we're on the same page with them and it's working well. We have the septic site registration being updated with a new accurate map by TMI. This was requested by the county sanitarian that came out to get us to make sure that the holes were dug in the right place and in the right spot. And so we're trying to get that done and get that into the county. I met with our new planner and worked through any issues they have with the site plan. More than that in the regular agenda. Have asked Davido for a quote on the water system design. I did not receive that. I did not get that today, so I will be following up with him tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have that on the agenda for the February meeting for you guys. Had a meeting with the Trails Committee to look at signage for the entryway to Maxwell Trails Park, and I met with Pat McVeigh to look at the site design and placement, and we do have an initial draft design for review tonight at the meeting that I can then take back to Pat. We need to edit the text on it, but I'm more looking at the actual graphic design of the sign around the text. Any questions on the staff report before we move on?
One, or two actually. Dodgeball. Insanely popular when it was done, right, Carrie? I would, man, in the winter months, kids are chomping at the bits to do something. You will draw every middle school kid on the planet.
So we opened it up in December, and we had 2 kids sign up for it.
For dodgeball?
For dodgeball.
You opened up was it competing with something else?
No.
Get out of here.
No, we didn't. And even like it's the same with the basketball. Like the numbers are down, and I think it's just because some kids have not experienced or maybe don't have the confidence because they've never played it before to sign up for it. I've talked to many parents basketball-wise
Yeah.
where it was, my kid's not sure he's never
Right,
played before.
right.
So
Across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The movie's
product.
old.
What's that?
That was so hot when the movie came out.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that was, seriously.
Well, but what Sky's talking is a product of COVID too.
Yes.
And we're seeing it across the board. I mean, I see it on a regular basis in the school. So if there's anything I can do to promote, if that was on the agenda, I'd love to see it come back because I know my kids and many kids had some really positive experiences from that, how it was done. So the other thing, just a letter of appreciation maybe. Doug, maybe it's already in the works, but to Whidbey Telecom, I just think that's pretty cool. I wouldn't mind signing off with all the board members and, just say thank you for your donation so they get that kudos from more than just one.
We did post it on the Facebook page, right?
I can't.
Okay, let's go back and double check, and if we didn't, let's post it and tag them.
I try to do that as much as possible, and we did it through the schools
I
foundation a lot
thought
of times.
I remembered seeing it when we did it, that, I didn't even have to tell them, I think you just did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll get them a letter.
Yeah, and I was gonna take advantage of the picture day for basketball coming up, since they're the lone sponsor, we can get all the kids together and have a nice big.
Oh, there you go.
Any thought to creating some other sponsorship packages at different levels for other?
So, maybe, it's more just with the triathlon, big piece that I would say is, I wanted to talk to them and say, for people that are providing not a monetary donation, but a service donation, can we include them within sponsorships, t-shirts, thank yous, whatever it is? I don't think they have an issue with that. The way it breaks down is we ended up with more sponsorship money for all those events combined than we would individually trying to get anything going. It still adds up to a much greater value for us for the sponsorship package, and it also takes away the portion of, like Doug said, of like each individual event trying to hunt down all these different sponsors when we have. And the part that really overlaps nicely with Whidbey is we cover Freeland South, they cover Green Bank South. We have this perfect overlap of service area. There are other pieces they approached us because they really wanted to, they want to start being able to sponsor pickleball a bit more. They have an interest within that. So as for sponsorship packages to pay for, the idea was to try and eliminate some of having to run down all of this throughout time, because it's pretty time
Oh,
Do we
yeah,
get
absolutely.
Do we get a lot of other sponsorships that way?
We get a lot of for the triathlon, we get a lot of donated product and donated service, but not a ton of cash. And it's generally it's staff having to go out and try and track down some cash donations. This makes that staff time be more devoted to the actual events as opposed to hunting down sponsors.
Right.
But there are events out there still, like that we could do that would still be available to be sponsored if somebody wanted to.
If you could just go back to the list of okay, so concerts in the park, youth basketball, so I'm just wondering if there's something available so that other businesses could also.
So I guess that's my question too, does
Not
the
just
exclusive
the
title
concerts.
sponsor mean that they're the title sponsor for Would Be on the Triathlon, but we could still have sub-sponsors for Would Be on the Triathlon?
Why not?
Yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to double check with them to make sure, because again, like, to me, it makes sense for anybody that's providing time service, anything like that, as opposed to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just thinking like, okay, so if you have a big banner, right, if you're making stuff that's gonna be up, add some more logos on there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a time consideration, but yeah, this is just a nice way to wrap all of this is probably more money than we've gotten in decades in one.
It's great. It's
But
great.
we're not saying, an exclusive title sponsor means that on a triathlon, their name's on the front.
They're on the front, it's the Whidbey Telecom, Whidbey
Triathlon. Yeah.
Like for basketball, we made it exclusive just because it saves so much time having one logo to go to the printer with and say, we're gonna go. So we were able to actually go with like mesh reversible jerseys as opposed to t-shirts, which we've done in the past. And this way, we have somebody that loses one, we've got quick, easy extras, all of that.
Okay.
Cool. On the campground, did the county insist that we do the site registration or update it?
They insisted on that a while ago.
Oh, they did.
We had to redo the site registration law. We'll get into that in on the regular agenda item.
Okay.
That's in the comprehensive plan item. I'll tell you exactly where we're at there.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions on the staff report before Carrie has one thing to add?
So, did you have any other questions?
No.
So we received the taxable value for the levy. So I know when we were going over the budget and the levy process this year, there was a lot of back and forth about what figure went in there as far as levy revenue. So what we received was the official figure that we'll be receiving, and it is $1,590,346. So it's actually pretty much exactly what we put in as our conservative figure for the budget. So, and just and that's at 22 cents per thousand, and if anybody wants the total taxable value, I can give that to you. But, so that's where we landed.
Thank you.
So again, it's a little challenging to hear. So that was $1,590,346.
Yeah.
$345.55.
Thank you.
You betcha.
All right, if there's no further discussion on the staff report, we can move on to unfinished business and start with the comprehensive plan programs, please, Doug.
Okay, so as Jade was asking, the campground. I did go and meet with our new planner at the campground. The site plan review items we just went through and we knocked all of them off. I had a good conversation with them and I said, look, this is year 4. You keep bringing up new stuff every time we come. I've got grant dollars that are going away at the end of 2024. I need to spend or I lose. So we need to get this moving. He did mention there was the one item that he found. I said, well, first off, that section, Sky actually looked at and found that it didn't refer to the parks zoning designation at the beginning of that section. I said, so it doesn't really apply. And then also on top of that, if it does apply, how did Deception Pass State Park, South Whidbey State Park, for EV for Casey get their campgrounds in when they're over 10 acres? It doesn't it doesn't pass the smell test. It's like, when did that happen? Now, were they grandfathered in because they were already done? But I haven't got an answer on that. So he was going to go back and talk to his supervisor and find out what applied there and what didn't apply. He emailed me Thursday last week and said, sorry, that applies. But I then emailed immediately back and said, okay, well then you didn't answer how does Deception Pass State Park, South Whidbey State Park, Fort Eby, Fort Casey, how did their campgrounds get put in? And then I said, secondly, who do I contact about a waiver? Because this is ridiculous. You want us to divide that into 10-acre parcels to put campgrounds on it. And then once we put the campgrounds on, we're just going to combine them and be putting them back into 30 acres. So it makes no sense.
Also, why didn't it come up?
He's new, he has no answer for that. So I don't know why it didn't come up before, but so I responded to him as of today. I have not heard back from him, but I did email again and I will be calling tomorrow morning. But this time when I emailed him, I emailed the lead planner for the county as well as him and Mary Engel and said, can I get a response? I need to know why these areas are allowed to do this and we're not. We're in the park zone, they're park zoned. Why are we being told we can't do this? So I have yet to hear back from them, but that email was sent out yesterday. So it's the county. I'll probably have to call them or stop by, knock on the door. But I'm going to try that phone call tomorrow and see where we go from there. But that's that portion of it. We completed a good portion of the rest of the other outstanding items. We had to do a tree count, which Tom went in about which trees we were going to have to take out, and we did a count of which trees and what type, and for the first loop, and sent that into them, so they have that. TMI, the septic design with Davido, the county wanted us to redo the site registration, and this is what Jake was asking about. We were asked by the county to redo the site registration because of the septic design. None of the site registered holes that we had previously dug were in where they So we had to come back and go, here's where the fields are, dig more holes, do a new site registration. And now, when they left, the sanitarian asked our on-site construction, which is the guys that were doing the septic site registration, to update the map and get it back to them. So we have that now in with TMI. As soon as we get that back with TMI, I'm going straight into the county. I've already talked to the health department. They're expecting it, and they'll review it as soon as they get it. I have asked Davino for a quote. I asked them in December. I followed up with them again, and they do not have it in my hands yet, so I can't bring it to you for but on water system design, because we will need to have that to open. So that has to go through the state, so I'm trying to get that done ASAP. So that will be on the agenda for February, because I'm going to be contacting Davino again tomorrow, following up and going, where's my quote for doing that? And I could get more quotes, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to, because quite frankly, they know our system. Anybody else is going to look at me and go, why would I give you a quote? Why would I waste my time? Davino knows your system. They know what's going on. They're going to charge you way less than anybody else. So, I mean, if anybody objects, I can go and get 2 more quotes and bring you 3 quotes on doing the work, but I think that it's chasing our tail. So I will be following up on all of that, but that's where we stand. And I brought Mary Engel in on this last round, and Jonathan Lang, who's the lead planner. My next step, if I get nothing, is bringing in Melanie Bacon and Neil Johnson and all the commissioners in on the email and going, look guys, I emailed you a week and a half ago. I've heard nothing from you. You don't respond. How am I supposed to get this done by the end of this year? We're gonna lose grant dollars. My next step after that would be calling the Southwood record and getting it in favor. Like, we can't get anything done because they don't respond. So keeping you posted on that, but that's where that is. Aquatic facility updated. We went through with the joint aquatic committee, and we went through all the terms of the contract. I sent it out to Honduras, who reviewed the insurance requirements. We talked about the insurance requirements. We went with Pacifica. They have a division who does our bonds, so we're familiar with them, have a good relationship with them. They do our bond, they're our bond attorneys. They also have a division that does contract law. We asked them to review the contract for us, they did. And I think it will be worth every single penny, because we want to make sure that this is one of those important contracts that you want to make sure you got right. So they reviewed it. We now have a signed agreement in place. I signed that last week virtually, and we are working now. I have the calendar of events that I'm working on, sitting down with ARC, and the foundation has given me their kind of plotted out calendar of fundraising and planned activities. They're trying to merge the two and meld the two together so that we can target some of these items as well. Take that to the Joint Aquatic Committee as, here's a draft, what do you think? And then get that back to ARC. We're looking at having kickoff meetings on design with the Joint Aquatic Committee and ARC and subcontractors starting 1st of February. So we'll be moving forward on that.
A question on that. Do you have an idea on this calendar when there'll start to be community outreach and community feedback? Because I'm starting to get questions about that.
That will be within that calendar, yes. And I have not yet delved into that calendar too deeply. I've just kind of skimmed it. But there definitely will be part of that is, as we go, publicizing to the community the whole way. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going on. I'll probably work with staff to get a webpage put together on our website, and then use our Facebook page and everything else to get as much information out there as we can. But we're going to have some open house sessions as part of this process that will be with the architect in place there, and we want to make sure we get as much attendance as possible. So yes, Matt, any comments on any of that? Did I miss anything?
No, I think that they consider that public input to be important and important early in the process. So I think they program in and budgeted in for 3 public meetings. So I think that Doug's explanation of that kind of multi-layered process for gathering input, I think, is important. We already have a survey with 1,700 responses with detail. So we have a great foundation for that. And then, this is going to be kind of the return from COVID public meetings. We had limited attendance at the kind of end of COVID public meetings. So we can't count on those as being, the panacea that maybe they once were. So that multi-layered approach with the website and the Facebook page and the survey input that we already have, and then these public meetings, and maybe there's a follow-on targeted survey. But I think with that full picture, I think there's a huge amount of input that has already fed into and will feed into the project going forward.
Something else on that. We talked almost a year ago now, probably about the large on-site septic. Are we gonna have to dig a whole bunch more holes and go through all the design on that at some point here?
That will be at some point a part of this process.
Yeah, because we were gonna do that this fall.
That is gonna be grandfathered into this, that's part of this process, and I doubt I was on board as the engineer for that, so.
Just remember, I'm getting real busy in about 2 months.
Right, and I don't know that we're even counting on you digging the holes. We might, we'll see what we get to when we get there, but that will be a part of this whole design process as we get into it. Okay?
Yeah, Tom, that was a specific topic of discussion with ARC, was the state of that, and the fact that that State Department of Health had come back to us asking us to dig another set of holes. So they're aware of that, and yeah, I think that's kind of front loaded in the timeline.
Is there any concern in any of that site registration work that we're going to need winter perks?
Not that I've been told, and we kind of did a winter perk. It was pretty close to winter.
I would say in the area, you guys want to dig holes? Yes.
Okay, well then that very much impacts our timeline, because winter perks are January to March.
Well, I'll talk to the ARC guys about that and see what we need to get done.
And the other thing I'll just give an update on that state capital budget line item. So we submitted the remainder of the ARC contract to Representative Paul, who was the sponsor of our supplemental appropriation last year, and he received it and understands it. And the process going forward is he and our new Representative Shavers within District 10 are gonna, and they've already started the conversation of which of the two of them is going to sponsor it into the capital budget. So it'll be either Representative Shavers or Representative Paul. Once they decide that, then we'll submit the legislative funding document to them. It's already been written, so it'll go into them, and then they'll carry that into the capital budget committee. Already also briefed Senator Mazzal, so he's the Senate Ways and Means Committee side of it, so he won't initiate it. But if it clears the House Capital Budget Committee and then clears the full House, it'll end up in the Ways and Means Committee in the Senate, and he's there, so he understands it. He knows it's coming. So that's where that stands. The other element I sat in on, the foundation completed their capital campaign feasibility study. They had hired a consultant called the Briggs Group, who had done a successful pool capital campaign in Fircrest in Tacoma, and they did the feasibility study for a capital campaign here and determined that it was feasible to run one. And the foundation was interviewing someone who might do the capital campaign last week, and that interview was conducted on the pool site, or proposed pool site. And so they're in the process of potentially hiring this person to run the capital campaign itself. So I think that seemed very promising. And my guess is we'll get an update by next month on the status of that. But if it goes as I expect, they'll have signed a contract with this experienced capital campaigner, and be moving forward on the private capital campaign in parallel with the rest of the fundraising work that's going on. So.
Any other questions on the Aquatic Center? Okay. I did meet with Pat McVeigh, and as promised, here's the sketch of the design. It will not be Max Walton Hiking Trails, it will be Max Walton Trails Park. That was the name that was decided upon, but the animals at the top are interchangeable. The squirrel could be a bird could be something else. It's not set in stone, but the concept of a family walking with a dog on a leash, I specifically said it has to be on a leash. That's the concept that we discussed when I was out there, just a kind of family walking with some animals on the sign. This would go right across the street from the current park entrance where the main sign is. It would look similar to that sign, be a little bit smaller on the other side of the street. And it would be two-sided, so it would be viewable from both coming north or south on Maxwell Road. Any comments on this?
He mentioned that that's a crow up in the tree.
Crow and squirrel.
I would like to replace the crow with an owl. Every time I've hiked that, I've seen an owl.
Okay.
I mean,
That's cool.
An owl?
Not a crow.
Okay. Any other comments on the sign design?
Sounds like there could be something else going on in the background. It's really neat as a whole.
He carves us into one piece.
Yeah,
right?
it's going to be the same.
It's just one
It's
solid.
It's one solid wood sign.
You could have a snag in the background and an owl sticking out of like a hole or sitting on top of the snag. I'm just talking.
I'm just trying to look at it
I'll ask them.
through a multicultural lens, and also different user
Okay.
lenses as well. And I don't have any suggestions, but that is definitely a traditionally abled white family.
Yeah. That's a good point. It definitely is.
And yeah.
We can have a discussion of that maybe at the Trails Committee level with Pat and see if we can workshop something a little more multicultural. I mean, I like the idea.
Yeah, I would support that discussion.
Okay. All right.
But I like the dog on leash. I like the walking stick. I think that's a really important piece. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Good comments. Thank you.
And perhaps a more gender neutral child.
Okay.
Cape. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it's a backpack, but I'm not sure. But
Okay. Cool. We'll take that back. We'll sit down maybe with the Trails Committee and Pat and workshop some ideas. Those are good starts. Thank you. That's, I believe, all I had on the comp plan. Yes. Any questions on any of that? Any other questions?
Do we have a budget set aside for the sign? Or did he give a ballpark? Or was that
He
money?
gave us a ballpark of about $3,500 installed, which I thought was pretty cheap for that sign.
That seems very reasonable.
The money that we had left over when we reimbursed the bond issue for the purchase of that property is more than enough to cover the $3,500. So.
Does it say somewhere what the dimensions of the sign are?
It's about 4 by 4, 4 feet by 4 feet.
Okay, good. Thank you.
At least that's what I talked with him about.
With someone of his caliber and how much he's done around the island, I feel like we're pretty lucky to
Oh yeah.
have him still wanting to make a sign for us. That seems like very,
Absolutely.
very
Most
fair
definitely.
price.
Most definitely. Okay. Field report. So we've met numerous times. We don't even need to set because we've already settled all this. Okay. We've met numerous times with the soccer club on field usage. We, up until about, 5 hours ago, 6 hours ago, had not reached a compromise with them, had not found common ground. We've, on Friday, Eric, we met with Eric, Sky and myself, sat down and talked through everything. Thought we were on the same track of, hey, just spread out your times, try and keep it, we were like, we're on the right track, but we need to get lower. We still had 110 kids at one time slot, and we were like, we need, we wanted 75. We compromised and said, we'll go, we finally compromised and said, when he called today, we said, look, we'll go to 100. Get it under 100, and we're fine. No more than 100 at one time from your group. So we're going to try that and see where we're at with that. Trying not to impact them too greatly all at once, but get them moving towards the direction we want them to go. It's a step in the right direction. It doesn't solve everything, but they've agreed and gone back and have we reviewed that schedule yet? Mm-hmm. And it does what it says? It does what it says. Okay, so then the only thing we now have to look at is when they post the registration stuff online, that times match up with the new. So we will be checking on that and following up and making sure. But that has been resolved to that point. It is a compromise. It is less than they've had up there at once, probably all of last year. They were up over 100 all of last year on a number of times. So we're bringing that back down. We think we're on the right track. We'll see if 100 is a good measuring stick. If it's not, we may have to make further adjustments come the summer. But right now, that's what we're doing. And
I would give accolades to Doug and Sky for, trying to the best of their ability to find kind of a happy middle ground. It's not an easy discussion, and I keep thinking, and I brought this up with Doug at our meeting, as we move into the pickleball arena and we get pickleball courts there, the draw for that, I think, will be immense. I think there'll be a lot of people wanting to use it on a regular basis, and we just need to somehow think about the septic thing in a different view, whether it's an extension or creating something else or trafficking, but I don't think that problem's going to go away.
No, Tom and I have not had that sit-down discussion yet about what options we have or bringing on-site out to kind of look at it and go, what do we do? But we're more focused, Sky and I are more focused on resolving this, getting this ready so they can post, so they can start their season, so we can get that going. Now Tom and I can kind of take a quick look at that and see what could be done, what are our options, and we can look at that as a potential capital project down the line as we do pickleball courts and an additional parking lot, increasing parking there, because that's going to be the other issue. We have 4 pickleball courts right now that take up probably about 15 to 20 spots up there. So if we reclaim those 15 to 20 spots, it's still probably not enough for 6 pickleball courts. So we're going to need more parking. There's going to be more users up there. We know. So
I don't think the last meeting we've gotten the information from Tom, the context of knowing that the alarm on that water system had been going off and increasing since last September. And it's how many can only hold 400.
Yeah, so basically we're approved for 450 gallons of water dump a day. That's it. That's 200 people, you're over, you're done. And so, 100 participants, just kids on the field, plus mom and dad, plus little brothers and sisters, plus the daily walkers, plus the people eating lunch there all day long, plus the 40 or 50 pickleball people. The high school team. I mean, we're totally maxed out. And, we 600-gallon septic tank for that building. The tank over here is 2,500 gallons. So it was never built or designed for the usage that it's getting. And, I mean, my concern was not during the week, now it's Saturdays, it was almost every Saturday. We were either, it was going off or it was probably sitting right there, ready to go. And so, if that thing continues to go off, my big thing, I've asked, they need to start moving some games to Sundays. Because they used to. There was always Sunday games. It wasn't just Saturdays, and it wasn't just Monday through Thursday. Every day was used up there. And, the excuses I've heard through the conversations of, well, we have to practice from 5 to 6:30. I'm hosting an open gym right now with 10 to 18-year-olds from 6 to 8, twice a week.
Yeah, I mean, we had that discussion.
There are opportunities later than 5 to 6:15. That is just ridiculous.
We did have that discussion with them. We had a good discussion with them on that. They did not want to hear that. Talked about the games on Saturdays. They did used to have games on Sundays. In general, those games were the older teams that they don't currently have. We did talk to them about, as those teams come back, they need to be playing their games on Sundays.
You gotta remember, I've been here a long time. And girls went on Sundays, boys went on Saturdays. It was kind of segregated way when that thing first opened.
Right.
So there was both days were fully used, Saturdays and Sundays.
And I think Tom, those points were definitely brought up, just so you know that. On the same token, soccer club, conceded that, or I should say, said that in their league, the games aren't played on Sundays. I understand that element too, meaning that it's not elsewhere. It's not that they wouldn't choose to play on Sundays. It's just currently right now in their league of play, the other teams aren't saying we'll play on Sunday. So just being able to see that side of it as well.
I'm just saying, if that thing's going off every
Yep,
Saturday,
I get it.
then next fall, it's not gonna happen that way. They're gonna have to figure it out. 'Cause it's a whole new ballgame. I mean, I've never seen so much use, and it's all day. I was on a mower up there all summer long because we were short staffed. And what I saw all day long as I mowed out there, it's unbelievable. Pickleball is thrown that into a whole new realm. Then you throw on the frisbee group that up to 60 people.
Well, pickleball is, they brought up pickleball in the meeting a lot, but it's not just pickleball. Pickleball brings in about 20 people at a time, max, 20 to 30. It's that demand, that high demand all at once, that 100 we had, I think Mondays and Wednesdays, we had 170 kids up there, 5 to 6 on Mondays and Wednesdays in the fall. That's way too many for one group. We just simply couldn't accommodate it anymore. So we're moving it in the right direction. I don't know that I don't think we're there yet, but I think this is a good step. And we'll monitor it through the spring. The winter is the harder season, the fall is the harder season to deal with because it gets dark. And they literally do not have lights up there, they can't play later. So it's getting them to, I think Eric said in the meeting, he would have practice right after school with the kids and practice at 3. And to me, we never said to them, you have to practice at this time or this time. We said, spread practices out. We would make suggestions of times and they would take that as our, play practice at this time. No, we were saying, this is how you could do it. So once we kind of said, get it under 100 and we'll move forward for this season, we were good. But yeah, we're going to monitor it and come back to it.
I think it's good to say that too, Doug, that it's not, it's not solely the soccer players that are doing this. It is a wealth of people. In my mind, I don't remember, I coached soccer for a long time, and I don't remember Ultimate Frisbee has moved their destinations throughout the year, and they're attracted to the good fields, and I'm sure that's changed. That is a lot more people.
Way bigger. Yeah, it's everything.
Everything's growing.
It's just more people.
Yeah, which is a good thing. A good thing.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have. We just got to figure out how to deal with it. Okay. Any other comments on that?
Okay, we will move on to new business. Commissioner committee assignments for 2023, please.
So we talked at our last meeting about this. I did touch base with pretty much all the commissioners, and pretty much all the commissioners told me I'm good with where I'm at. So if you want to keep the committee assignments the same, you could just say we're gonna keep them the same and we can be done. Because that's all I have for tonight, unless somebody else has something. Probably be good to move in second to vote on it.
There was not a desire for any movement by anybody.
Nobody said, I really don't want to, I want to do this, or I really want to do that. Everybody came to me and said, I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, but if people want to change, I'll do the ranking. And I was like, well, everybody's telling me they were comfortable. Like, if we're all comfortable, let's just, keep the ball rolling as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I will make a motion for the committees to retain the current commissioners, the current, how's that?
And I'll second that motion. This is Matt.
It's been moved and seconded to retain the current committee assignment structure for 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Eric, aye.
Krista, aye.
Jake, aye.
Matt, aye.
Jennifer, aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes and the committee assignments are approved.
That's all I have for this evening.
One more update real quick before you guys close. One dock section has been delivered to Deer Lake.
Great.
And a large forklift to install it. And I assume there's probably one or two more sections to be delivered, then they'll get that part of the project.
So he's done the ramp already, the first section of that.
Can you, hey, Tom, I didn't quite hear what got delivered to Deer Lake?
The floating dock.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Floating dock.
So, yeah, I was gonna raise that as the lake committee, that, some sort of site review when it's done with Derek or whoever.
What is going on with Derek? What's his
We
name?
don't know what they're gonna be able to do because it was supposed to be paved. And when I was talking with the construction crew, they think they ran out of money, so that may not be done, and they didn't, so.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
I'll reach out to Derek.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to Derek and we'll cycle back with it.
Other than
the
that,
committee.
it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Minor detail.
Okay.
Any other comments for the good of the order?
Well, at least it's not affected by the king tides, so there's
We
that.
don't have king tides.
No, but it's getting high.
Sure it is.
That's all I have, Jennifer.
Okay. We will adjourn this board meeting at 7:07.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
You.
Hey, Matt,